to my 564 horsepower friend, my Fisker Ocean 1. And this is my 4,000 mile review, and this is not going to be a comprehensive review at all. I'm going to save that for my 5,000 mile review. I'm just going to walk you around the exterior here very quickly. You can see that the Fisker emblem lights up, the Ocean lights up. It does a little smile toward you. The headlights are awesome. It's got the little puddle lights over here that welcome you. I'm going to turn those back on. To turn them back on, all you have to do is hit the unlock button. You can see that the handles light up. And I'm going to give you a view here in the back. And of course it does welcome the passenger as well. After 4,000 miles of driving this thing, I'm going to walk over what I consider the cons very quickly. And then I'm going to go over what I consider the pros. And I'm just going to give you a thorough, well, I'm not going to say thorough. I'm going to save that for my 5,000 mile review. Just a general walkthrough of the car. And that's the sequence for the rear lights. Okay, I said I wanted to go over the cons first, so I'm going to go ahead and get those out of the way. First of all, I would like to say this car has never left me stranded. It's been fabulous. I mean, I love driving this thing. But the cons, that's what we're going to focus on right now, is, and I'm doing this by myself, of course, so bear with me. The video may not be the best and the lighting may not be the best, but I'm going to do the best that I can here. One con is, you can see that I lost a mud flap. And we were driving and we heard, and I was like, what is that? And my wife said, you better pull over and check that. So I got out and I looked around. I thought I'd probably driven over something. And it turns out that I saw that my mud flap was ripped. And so I really only had one good option, and that was to tear it off. Now, 4,000 miles later, that happened within just a couple hundred miles of owning the car. 4,000 miles later, this is exactly what happened on the other side. I mean, exactly. So this must be some type of design flaw that Fisker needs to fix, because the mud flaps are just not holding up. I mean, period, end of story. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to tear that off right now. Okay, just went ahead and tore that off. Yeah, so that's a con. So the mud flaps have not held up for whatever reason. So another con is the key fob. And you get used to this very quickly, because the key fob is kind of quirky from what we're used to with other vehicles. If you just accept that this is the way the key fob works right now, it works basically 100% of the time, if you follow what I'm going to tell you. So if you press the unlock button, okay, I mean, if you press the unlock button, you expect it to unlock, and it did unlock there. But if you press that, and you've been away from the car for a while, a lot of times the car has gone to sleep. So the first time you press that button, the car will be like, oh, what's going on? Is the alarm clock going off? I don't quite understand. And you count to 4. As soon as you press it, the car will make a little sound, but it won't unlock. Just count to 4. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. And then press the unlock button again. It will work. I'm telling you. If you do that, it will work just like clockwork. And so, you know, you can lock it, and you can unlock it with the key fob very, very easily if you do that. Now, another thing that I want to point out is, if you do have trouble with the key fob for whatever reason, maybe your counting's off, you can take the key fob and use the NFC reader. You just put it up against the door, the NFC reader's right in there, and this works 100% of the time. It's not an issue. I mean, it works. You put it up there, it works. So it's just that simple. So if for whatever reason your timing's off, you're having a bad day, just walk up, do that. You want to show it to your friends and you're worried that it's not going to unlock, just do this. You can see, I mean, that works over and over and over. I have never, not once, not one single time, put that up there and then not locked or unlocked just like I want it to. So I would call that a con because it's just not what we're used to. It's a very small learning curve. It's just the way this fob works. Ask anybody that owns an Ocean and they will tell you if you've been away from your car for any amount of time, the car goes to sleep and it needs 2 unlock buttons most of the time to get the doors to unlock for you. Another con of the car is when I first got the car, the software was just a little bit slow. Now, I'm not going to call it laggy. Personally, I never found it laggy because I had been driving a Honda Ridgeline, and if you want laggy software, that was a mess, and it never got better, and I drove it for 3 years. Since I've gotten the 1.11, did I say that right? 1.11 update, the software is amazingly fast now. It's pretty much press and you are there. So, that con has been totally resolved. Now, another con is currently the digital radar system in this thing is not working. Now, we knew that as Fisker Ocean owners, we knew that this would come out in stages, but at the same time, you're paying for something that you're not getting to use. And currently, we only have regular cruise control, just regular cruise control, not adaptive cruise control. Once this gets active, then that will start activating all kinds of other features. And that's a feature that I'm really looking forward to. So after 4,000 miles of driving, those are my cons. I have no other cons. The vehicle is just absolutely fantastic. It is a beast. 564 horsepower. My gosh, this thing can just push you in the back of the seat anytime you want it to. Over 500 pounds of torque, on tap instantly. You press the accelerator in this thing and boom, you are gone. I love the power. I love the passing power. It is just absolutely fantastic. And I really like the big wheels on it. There's not a mileage penalty on these. You lose less than 1%. So the people that were worried about range and they actually took the 20-inch wheels over the 22-inch wheels, for me, it was not an issue. You lose less than 1%. So having the big wheels on here fills up the wheel wells really well. And it just makes the car stand out. This thing doesn't have a bad angle on it anywhere. And if I was outside, I didn't want to do this outside because it was raining and just yucky, and I was just in the mood to do it. So I wanted to go ahead and do this. So I actually pulled it in my garage a little bit sideways so I can open everything up for you. So if we're talking about the power, what can we say about the handling? The handling on this machine is incredible. You feel very safe. You feel very secure. It handles the curves extremely well. It stays planted with that big heavy battery in the center of it and the big beefy wheels. It just sticks you right to the road. So the handling on this thing is great. It's not rough. That's something that I was extremely concerned about with 22-inch wheels. I was thinking, oh my goodness, this thing is going to ride like a Jeep, like brick on wheels. And it's not. It's extremely smooth and it's controlled over pretty much any surface that you can throw at it. So Fisker did a tremendous design with the handling of this vehicle that actually will only get better as they incorporate new features. Now let's talk about the comfort of the car. The first thing I really want to talk about though is the seats. These seats, I just actually cleaned this car up, and I'm kind of lazy in the grand scheme of things. I really don't do a great job keeping my car clean. But if you notice this, this is actually by design. You feel nothing sewn in here. There are no cracks or crevices in the traditional sense that would get dirty. And, when I went to clean this up, this Alcantara, or however you're supposed to say that word, it cleaned up incredibly easy. And something I was terrified with these seats is, I wanted the wider seats so it would brighten up the interior. And I'm sorry about the lighting in here. My garage lighting is not good. Just deal with it. I was terrified that these seats would be easy to stain, hard to take care of, and really that's just not the case at all. What I did when I first got it, though, as a precaution, I purchased this black label protectant, and I actually sealed the seats with that protectant. And then I had what I thought was a small stain in the back from one of my kids, and I sprayed this on it, and it just, I mean, it blotted right up. I mean, nothing to it. It cleaned it like nothing. So if you're interested in those products, there they are. I just ordered those off Amazon, and of course, with Alcantara, make sure you get a brush. So the seats, I wanted the wider interior. My wife and I did, to brighten up the interior, and we're really glad we went with these. We were skeptical, but get what you want, so we did. Now, as far as comfort, I have a bad back, so there's always things that I consider when I'm driving, and this car does not have lumbar support, so that was a concern of mine. It's not needed, though. After driving this 4,000 miles, I never get tired, I never get fatigued, and these seats, you don't slide around. So once you find your position, you're pretty much glued there, and you just kind of love it. The seats, they really don't get hot, they really don't get cold. The seats are very nice. I would recommend these seats to anybody as long as you are open to them. The comfort is good. What about the charging experience? On a level 2, the Ocean is supposed to charge at 32 amps, although nobody is really seeing that yet. I'm not really sure why, but it does charge very quickly on level 2. It charges at 6.3 kilowatt hours. I mean, that's plenty fast enough to charge it up overnight, so that's really not an issue. And then if you're charging on level 3, or DC fast charging as some people like to call it, if you're going to see speeds basically between, oh my gosh, it depends on your state of charge. But if you whip into a DC fast charger, and let's say you're on 10%, and everything's working right, you're probably going to see, 170, 180, 190 kilowatts. And then as the battery starts getting more full, up around 30% state of charge, basically, it's going to start throttling down. So, you're going to see 160, 150, 130, 120. And, that's typical for most electric vehicles. So the charging speed on this is very good. There's nothing to complain about. It does have rain sensing wipers, and they work extremely well. The mirrors do fold in. Of course, it's got cameras all the way around it, and I'll point those out as I walk around here. You have a camera there. You have your digital rear view camera, which is super handy. That thing just never seems to get dirty at all. You can always see out of it. And then you have this one down here. That one does tend to get dirty. Got some dust in my throat. And then down here, well, maybe I should turn my light on. Yeah, okay. I have the tow hitch, and I actually have the back of the cover off right now. I've had that off for a few days because I actually have to haul my garbage down. My garbage is, it's really too far to carry. So I purchased this to put in the back of it, and we can also use that, for storage if we want to. I probably won't use that for storage, but I do use that for garbage. I'd probably buy a different one if it was going on a long trip. Which, the long trip. Okay, let's talk about that. What kind of range does this thing have? EPA, you're looking at 360 miles. Now, are you going to get 360 miles in this driving down the interstate at 80 miles an hour? Nope, you're not. No electric vehicle is going to pull that off. So every electric vehicle is going to lose range the higher speeds that you travel. Now, what I've noticed in the Fisker Ocean is if you drive 55 miles per hour or less, and you're not blasting the heater, you're not driving aggressively, it is easy, I mean easy, to meet or beat the EPA range. As a matter of fact, I competed in the Fisker Max Range Challenge, And that had very specific rules that I'm not going to point out in this video. But I actually won that. And I was able to get 382 miles on 90% of the battery, and I still had 43 miles of range left. So you can see right there, you know, you can destroy the EPA range if you drive, you know, not so fast, let's just say. You know, the faster you drive, the less range you'll get in an electric vehicle. That's nothing new to electric vehicles. But the Fisker Ocean has a tremendous advantage over other electric vehicles in this class because it has such a long range. While others have been reducing their range, like Tesla recently, because they've always inflated their ranges just a little bit or a whole lot, depending on how you want to look at that. The Fisker Ocean had to go through, you know, the new testing procedures, and it managed 360 miles of range, which is very impressive. So let's move on to the back and talk about the space in the back. And my kids, they say that the back of the Ocean actually has more space and more comfort than our Mazda CX-9, which I actually found that surprising because the Mazda CX-9 is a larger vehicle. But I think just the way this is laid out, they really like the comfort of the seats. And this has no hump in the middle, and it has no hump in the floor. So, you know, they have plenty of room for their feet, plenty of room, you know, to put stuff there. They just like it better back here. So no complaints from my two daughters. And then moving on to the back, which I've already opened the hatch here. And did you know you have a doggy bone in the back? Yeah, I mean, the Ocean is just full of little places where they have designs. So, you know, you got that ocean wave going on throughout the whole vehicle. And so one thing that I did is I went to Harbor Freight and I purchased just a moving mat. And I actually made a cover for the back, which actually works really good. You can see here how I did the headrest for the headrest. I put a little bar there because that was bouncing around just a little bit. It had, you know, it was a little floppy. So I put that bar there, and then this just, I folded right over. So there's plenty of space back here. You've got your power outlets, and that comes in super handy. You can power, you can't get 1600 watts, even though it says 1600 watts. But somewhere around 15 something. I actually did a test there. So, but you can get up to 1500 watts, which will power anything in your house, except probably, you know, a really strong hairdryer. And this, one thing I want to point out is this is removable. Now, this whole thing here, this fold flat floor, whatever, cargo, whatever we want to call that, you can take this out, the whole thing. You can just lift it up, take it out. And if you need additional storage space, you can use all of this. And that frees up a significant amount of room, actually. It doesn't have a spare. That's pretty typical of new cars. So, you know, that's just something that you deal with. Now, I keep a tire plug kit and all that. So just in case something comes up, I can handle that. And just going on around the vehicle here, getting into the passenger side. Very nice space, laid out extremely well. I'm going to step in here and point a few things out. My wife uses this quite often to eat on, set her phone, things like that. You have wireless charging here on both sides. Now, one thing that I really like about this storage area, this is storage area, and down here is storage area, is everything is rubberized. So when you put something there, it kind of like sticks to it and doesn't slide around. And then, of course, here you have the ever famous taco tray, and I use that quite often for eating in my car, things like that. And it is just a super nice ride. Now I'm going to walk around to the driver's side and start it up for you. Oh, and the tailgate is programmable. I just never saw a reason to program it. You can change the height of it, things like that. Now, I do have the light on my phone because the garage is so dark. Let me turn it off, see what it looks like. Yeah, that's probably better in here. So, I'm going to put my foot on the brake. And that's all you do to start the car. You put your foot on the brake. And of course, it's telling me to put my seatbelt on. You can see I am charged to 80%, which is pretty typical for me, showing 285 miles of range. And it's what is that, 4:05? Yeah, it's 4:05 p.m. And everything is laid out very logically here. You know, you've got your buttons over here for your lights. It does have rear fog lights, which I found was pretty weird. I think that must be a European thing because it's definitely not an American thing. And I love the chunkiness of the steering wheel. Everything is right where it should be, and it just works. You know, everything just works. And then this video is not to go over, you know, all of this. I have other videos for that. But everything works. Everything. You know, I have no problems with the Bluetooth. I stream my music, and the cameras work fantastic, and you can adjust the cameras up here to any angle. I'm going to put it on 360 for just a minute. And you can see, you know, I'm in my garage, and this, you can turn that around, you know, and I think that's pretty cool. Climate works great. Everything, I really like that it has physical buttons. I offered my wife a Tesla Model Y about 3 years ago, and she just despised the interior. I mean, despised it. She said, nope, nope, nope. So that's actually what turned us into looking for a vehicle that had physical buttons, and she really liked the Fisker Ocean, so we reserved it and we waited on it, and we finally got it. And then, of course, the digital rearview camera. This works great, and like I said, that thing hardly ever gets dirty. And then you have, you know, your buttons and stuff for the lights, and I'm not going to go through all that. I don't think that's what this one is for. This one's just more for an update. And for the update, everything's just better. Everything works better. Everything works faster, because I'm operating on the 1.11 update, software update. That's the last update. And of course, it does have, you know, heated seats in the rear, heated seats in the front, heated steering wheel. And I'm going to rotate this just in case people may not know that actually rotates. You can put it into Hollywood mode, watch movies, things like that, go to YouTube. And now I can't do that here because if you notice over here, I don't have any cell signal. I don't have any cell signal at my house, so I can't play anything. But, you know, when my wife's out shopping, that comes in very handy to watch Mr. Bean or something, you know, just to kill the time. So that's that part. So now let's look at the top of the car. And the Ocean One and the Extreme, they come with solar panels, or a very large solar panel. Technically, it's two back here. I'm going to open this up for you. I'm going to press California mode. I press that on the fob here. And look at that. I mean, that thing is just massive. That's a big hole in the roof. I love it. So when you're driving down the road, you get what I would consider the closest thing to a convertible that you could possibly get while driving down the road, but the safety of having, you know, a proper A pillar, B pillar, C pillar, D pillar. Yeah. So, you know, the wind can just whip through here. You can have the best little time ever was out driving, and it's just a fabulous experience. So I'm actually going to sit in the back here for you so you can see how large this is. I'm going to flip it up here. Yeah, I mean, look at that. So if you're sitting in the back, right here, this is where a passenger would be sitting. So, you know, look at this. Yeah. So it almost opens. It almost opens to where your head would be actually. It's just huge. All right, and to wrap up the video here, I think it would be appropriate to just close everything up. That's really cool. Thanks for watching, guys.